Redstone missile is unloaded at Holloman Air Force Base on the White Sands Missile Range. From the belly of the C-124 emerges a loaded semi-trailer. Inside is a Redstone thrust unit. Another C-124 will deliver the rest of the missile. This was round number 1011, one of 3 Redstones fired at White Sands during January through March 1959. Once the trailer is on the ground, a standard Army tractor backs into position. Now begins the 45-mile journey to the Army Missile Test Center, White Sands Missile Range. The purpose of the firings at White Sands was twofold. First, under the direction of the Army Ballistic Missile Agency, engineer user data were to be gathered by the extensive White Sands range instrumentation. Second, the Redstones were to be fired by 2 field artillery groups, the first time for either group to actually fire the missile. Unloading the missile thrust unit is greatly facilitated by the specially designed trailer. These Ordnance Corps troops of the White Sands Redstone Project have received intensive training. Assigned to Systems Test Division of the Missile Range's Ordnance Mission, all are graduates of the Ordnance Guided Missile School at Redstone Arsenal. All have trained on the job at the factory producing the Redstone and have taken part in the Redstone winterization tests at Eglin Air Force Base. At this time, only 1 Redstone had ever been fired over land. This firing had been a tactical one, taking place at White Sands in June 1958. Redstone, this country's first operational large ballistic missile, was developed by the Army Ballistic Missile Agency at Huntsville, Alabama. It was named for the Redstone Arsenal, the place of its development. As a weapon, Redstone can place a large nuclear warhead on a target some 200 miles away. Redstone has made missile history. For instance, it was the first American-made ballistic missile to be fired from the Cape Canaveral Missile Test Center. This was on 20 August 1953. Its rocket engine was the first high-thrust engine to be factory-produced in the United States. This also in 1953. It was the first large ballistic missile to be launched by service personnel. Cape Canaveral, 16 May 1958. It was also the first large ballistic missile to be launched over land. White Sands Missile Range, 2 June 1958. It was the first large American ballistic missile to be deployed overseas. 20 June 1958. It was the first stage of the Jupiter C, which put Explorer 1, the first American satellite, into orbit. 31 January 1958. Now the aft unit of the missile enters the assembly building, built especially for the Redstone. The next step, checkout. First, the missile receives a leak test. Air at pressures from 5 to 3,000 pounds per square inch is fed into numerous systems of the missile. Air fittings are soaped and checked for bubbles which would indicate leaks. Freon gas is fed into certain other systems and a special leak detector used. The pneumatic shop truck is the control center for the leak tests. From this vehicle, pressures are regulated and air is directed to various systems. Here, mating of the 3 units making up the missile nears completion. These 3 units include the thrust unit, the aft unit, and the warhead unit. Now begins electrical and pneumatic checkouts. Power is applied to missile components. In the pneumatic checkout van, pressurization of air systems is controlled. In all, 7 specially designed vans are employed for pre-evaluation checks as complete as factory checks. Purpose, to determine that the missile is a standard round, meeting military specifications. In the guidance and control van, the missile's guidance system is thoroughly checked out step by step. After demating, all adjustable components, both pneumatic and electrical, are safety wired to ensure that fittings and connections are securely fastened. Next, the completely assembled missile is weighed. All in-flight components are now aboard. The weights are a part of the engineering data used to check tactical firing tables. Later, the warhead aft unit is weighed separately. This is to determine the unit's center of gravity in flight after separation from the thrust unit. The White Sands Systems Test Division, upon completion of the pre-evaluation tests, turns the missile over to the Ordnance Company, an organic part of the Field Artillery Group. Here, the user phase of the test begins. Tactical equipment is employed to make pneumatic and electrical checks as they would be made in the field. Although these checks, in some ways, duplicate the pre-evaluation checkout, they are not intended to be as thorough or as extensive. The time required for this operation is further shortened since the missile units do not have to be mated. During January and February, the 209th and 46th Field Artillery Groups, Redstone, arrived. Their mission, to fire the missiles as a graduation exercise. Their Army training test at Fort Sill successfully completed. A week before firing, the Field Artillery moves round number 1011 to the launch site. During this week, missile-borne instrumentation was to be installed and checked out. Here begins assembly of the A-frame, part of the tactical erector. Once assembled, the erector is used to mate the separate units. Now the aft unit awaits the approach of the warhead unit. All handling equipment of the Redstone system is designed for utmost speed and ease of operation. Standard equipment is used to the maximum extent compatible with high mobility in the field. The thrust unit is backed into place. The rotating frame goes on before attachment to the launcher. Placed so as not to disrupt tactical operations, cables from the blockhouse are connected with the missile through a non-tactical junction box for monitoring of missile checks and measuring instruments. All White Sands facilities are designed to allow full use of tactical procedures and equipment. Here, the heater-cooler is attached. This unit maintains a constant temperature of 66 to 70 degrees Fahrenheit inside the missile's instrument compartment. It falls away just before firing. In the event of indicated malfunctions, a tactical relay box is checked. A man inside takes a look at the propulsion system. A squib is placed in the expulsion cylinder. The cylinder ensures a clean separation. The ST-80 goes in. This is the heart of the guidance system. It assures that the missile follows its programmed trajectory. All all components installed and the horizontal check completed, the Redstone is ready for erecting. Now the initial lay is made. Konark Artillery Board personnel monitor operations to determine how well the system conforms with military characteristics. The 110-foot service structure will soon be moved over and positioned around the missile for measurement check. Firing battery personnel continue vertical checkouts. A tactical distribution unit supplies power for the field artillery checks. A tactical compressor supplies air to the missile. The air supplied must be extremely pure. The servicing structure is brought into position so that Redstone project personnel can begin checks of missile-borne instruments. Inside the measurements van, by means of hardwire telemetry, the onboard measuring devices are checked. During flight, the onboard devices will measure temperatures, pressures, flow rates, voltages, and other missile functions. Performance data on the measuring instruments are permanently recorded. These records may be used later for comparison with actual flight performance. The moisture content of air supplied by the compressor is checked. The dew point must not exceed minus 65 degrees. From the launch pad, operations are coordinated with the blockhouse. Now the order is passed to weigh the missile. It is 16 February 1959, 0300 hours, X day. The order goes out to withdraw the service structure and prepare for LOX fueling. The air LOX at a temperature of minus 297 degrees Fahrenheit is pumped into the missile. This operation takes about 20 minutes. Servicing personnel must wear asbestos gloves and face shields. Next, hydrogen peroxide is pumped into the missile. This substance produces steam for driving the turbine. 20, 19, 18, 17, 16, 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, fire. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P,
W.
Here, the missile goes out of control. Later study of photographic and telemetry data revealed that a guidance system component had failed. On 10 March 1959, round number 1016 was fired. The troublesome guidance component modified, this round was completely successful. Impact was well within the circular probable error. These 3 firings at White Sands Missile Range produced valuable results. Actual performance of standard missiles had been determined. Field artillery troops had demonstrated their competence. Range instrumentation had gathered a vast amount of engineering data. And once again, the United States Army's reliable Redstone had proved its worth.